Every generation gets a mirror. A figure who reflects back everything that generation believes, values, chases, and destroys itself over. For millennials and Zoomers, that mirror is Kanye West. Egotistical, brilliant, broken, searching. And here's the thing about Kanye that nobody's really talking about right now. While everyone has been busy debating his controversies, his mental health, his marriage, his politics, there's been a quieter story running underneath all of it. Story about his faith. Was any of it ever real? To understand Kanye's faith, you have to understand his grief. His mother, Donda West, wasn't just his mom. She was his foundation, English professor and poet. The woman who believed in him before the world did. When she passed away in November 2007 after complications from surgery, something in Kanye broke. Not in the way celebrities say they fell apart for dramatic effect, in the way that actually changes a person. He's spoken openly about it.
My mom saved my life. There would have been no Kanye West because my dad was too busy.
It took years to even begin to process. And then 2016 came. He's at the peak of everything externally. Life of Pablo just dropped. And he's on the tour. On top of the world by every measure that the world uses to measure success. And then in November, he was hospitalized. Due to a psychiatric emergency, his tour got canceled. Then he disappears. When he comes back, he's different. And over the next 2 years, something is clearly building underneath the surface. Then he dropped Jesus is King album. It won Grammy for Best Contemporary Christian Music First Gospel Album in history to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200. People who had never listened to gospel in their lives were playing this record. And alongside the album, he started Sunday service. Every Sunday, it was a 100-person choir, done at parks, hillsides, churches, Coachella. All funded by Kanye himself. No ticket price, no merchandise, no sponsorships. He spent millions and gave it away for free, committing to the kingdom of God. Now, I really want you to think about that for a second. This is a man who built Yeezy into a billion-dollar brand, who understood marketing and cultural influence better than almost anyone alive. He knew exactly how to monetize attention. And he chose not to with this. In interviews at the time, he talked about feeling controlled, being used as a vessel, and God pulling him back from an edge he didn't even fully recognize he was standing on. Pastors talked about it. Theologians talked about it. Christian artists talked about it. The conversation wasn't just about the music anymore. It was about whether God could actually reach someone as deep into fame and ego as Kanye West. In 2019, the answer felt like a clear yes. Because while Kanye was building Sunday service, he was also doing something else. He was waking up. And in this society, waking up will get you destroyed. Kanye started saying things publicly that didn't fit the approved cultural narrative. He talked about the victim mentality being used to keep Black Americans politically controlled.
For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know?
He posted a photo in a MAGA hat. He visited Trump at the White House. He questioned Black Lives Matter. He challenged the idea that Black people were required to vote Democrat. And the same media that had celebrated his genius for 20 years turned on him overnight. Now, you don't have to agree with everything Kanye said in this period to recognize what was happening. A powerful cultural machine decided that this particular Black man, with this particular level of influence, saying these particular things was dangerous, and they moved to neutralize him. The hospitalization got used to make him look crazy. Every controversial statement became evidence of mental illness.
See everything. You feel the government is putting chips in your head. You feel you're being recorded. You feel all of these things.
And these are vividly realistic to you.
Yes.
Rather than genuine political thought. The narrative was already set. Kanye West is unstable. Don't listen to him. And here's where the faith story intersects with all of this in a way that almost never gets discussed. Kanye genuinely believed, and has said this explicitly, that God was directing his path. That his political convictions and his faith were connected. That speaking truth in a world full of lies was part of what it meant to follow God. But the system he was fighting back against was the same system his entire lifestyle depended on. His deals, his partnerships, his wife's brand, his social connections. You cannot simultaneously surrender to God and refuse to let go of the world that's funding your life, and Kanye never fully resolved that tension. Nobody around him helped him resolve it either. He was surrounded by yes men, Hollywood reality stars, and industry executives, whose entire existence depended on keeping Kanye inside the box. His faith was real, but it was trying to grow inside a container specifically designed to suffocate it. And then everything collapsed at once. 2021, his marriage to Kim Kardashian publicly falls apart. And this wasn't just a normal celebrity divorce. This was Kanye losing the last structure holding his world together.
And I thought this wasn't my wife no more legally, since I got I got the lawyer to finally finish the divorce. Because every time I finished the show, the Free Hoover show, the next day she dropping her last night.
Because here's what people miss about this divorce. Kanye had become increasingly religious and politically outspoken precisely as he became a father. His breakaway from the toxic entertainment bubble and his faith were happening simultaneously. And that breakaway directly threatened a family whose entire brand was built on being the living embodiment of that bubble. Kim's world and Kanye's evolving convictions were fundamentally incompatible. And once the divorce started, Kanye felt the full weight of that world come down on him. He was barred from his children's birthday parties, had to go through layers of Kim security just to say hello to his own kids. Meanwhile, Pete Davidson, a man he'd never chosen nor approved, was now spending time with his children daily. Any parent would break under that. Kanye broke publicly. And then 2022, he makes a series of anti-Semitic statements. Publicly and repeatedly, he wore a White Lives Matter shirt at Paris Fashion Week. Adidas cuts tie, Gap cuts ties, Balenciaga cuts ties. $1.5 billion in net worth gone essentially overnight. And the question every Christian watching was forced to ask became unavoidable. How do you hold a Jesus is King Grammy in one hand and those headlines in the other? Here's where I want to be honest with you. Because the easy thing to do here is to either defend Kanye completely or condemn him completely. And both of those are lazy. What Kanye said in 2022 was genuinely harmful, honestly. There is no version of Christian faith that covers anti-Semitism. That's not a debatable point, but Kanye West has been publicly open about living with bipolar disorder. And bipolar disorder, at the severity he's described, doesn't disappear because you made a gospel album. It's a medical condition. It requires ongoing management, medication, and actual real support systems. A man who just lost his marriage publicly, lost daily access to his children, the support network around him, billions overnight. West already living with severe mental illness. That man is not always operating from his most grounded self. Faith doesn't make you immune to collapse. And collapse doesn't mean the faith was never real. I'm not asking you to excuse it, but hold the full complexity of a human being who was genuinely falling apart in front of the entire world while carrying a belief system he didn't always have the stability to live up to. It's 2026. Kanye West is selling out arenas again. The Ye World Tour. Tens of thousands of people paying to be in the room with him still. The cultural rehabilitation, earned or not, is happening in real time. But here's what I kept coming back to while researching this video. Has he said anything about his faith recently? Maybe or maybe not. Not in the form of a new gospel album or a Sunday service comeback. He hasn't walked back Jesus is King. He hasn't said, God was a phase or a mistake or a marketing strategy. I see a man who is still somewhere in it. Still unresolved, still searching, but I genuinely believe his faith was real and wasn't a phase at all. Not because he lived up to it perfectly, he didn't even come close. But because the evidence of someone who actually believes something is that, they never fall, they build things. They had no business incentive to build. Sunday service cost him millions and made him nothing. Jesus is King was the most commercially risky thing a rapper at his level could have released. Nobody in his industry advised either of those decisions. He did them anyway. That's not performance. That's not PR. But a man who found something real and then got completely lost trying to carry it while also being Kanye West. The most ego-driven, contradiction-filled, and impossible-to-contain figure in modern music. And maybe that's the real story. Not that his faith was fake, but that genuine faith is almost impossibly hard to sustain when you're also carrying everything he was carrying. The fame, the grief, the mental illness, the divorce, the billions, the public failures, the system actively working to keep you inside a box that faith would require you to escape. Then maybe the most honest thing we can say about Kanye West in 2026 is simply this: the story isn't over yet. If this hit different than you expected, drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you stand on this one. And if you want more videos that go deeper than the headline, hit the subscribe, for there is more coming. I'll see you in the next one.